Welcome back. We are going to go into our next tabletop, which we are going to use lots of blue in this one. I want to show you some different ideas for how to incorporate blue into your fall tabletops without it looking like it's the beach. So let's move into our next fall table is going to use lots of this orangey. It's still that lighter shade of orange, so it's kind of a peach coral, but you'll notice there's a lot of dark, like a deeper color in there. And so what I did was I put down, this is a lot more casual, and so I put down a melamine plate, so it's not china. So this would be a great idea for a picnic, and this is also melamine. And they just stack really well together, and that bamboo, the brown on the bamboo, brings out the brown in here and makes it look a lot more like fall. And in order to kind of make it more casual and almost picnic-like, I used these cobalt bottles that I found at a vintage store and then filled them with flowers that are the colors of fall. When you use these, that's a dahlia, and when you use that just has that color that you're looking for fall, and it blends well with the orange that's in the tablecloth. And so I set it with the blue candles, and that still gives it like a different shade of blue, but I like that cobalt blue and the lighter blue mixed together. I think they look really good. And so also one thing I love to do if it's like a picnic idea, if you're outside and you don't want breakable glass, I love using the little silver, they're wine glasses, but you can use them for whatever. But they are great because they're not, they don't break. So that's the perfect way to carry it with you if you're tailgating or if you're going on a picnic. So here we have the khaki colored napkins and then the gold flatware, and you're pretty much all set. Just bring it down, spill it out throughout the whole table. And then if you like to have an alternating height, you can change out the candles so that they kind of go in a pattern. But yeah, it's an easy way to make your holiday or going into fall table look really good, and it's also casual and easy. So there you go. Okay, let's take a closer look at our table setting so that you can see some of the details that have gone into it. One thing I wanted to mention is that when you have a lot of pattern on pattern like we have here, it's great to add in a clear glass. This one has my initial on it, but anything works. And it was a vintage glass that my friends found for me and bought it for me. So it wasn't anything that I had made. So it's kind of special. It's a gift from someone. And again, I love using these silver wine glasses because they don't break. I actually travel with them when I need to do photo shoots in other places. So that's a great little find, and they're pretty inexpensive at vintage shops. So I wanted to show you again how a lot of people will ask me, how do you put pattern on top of pattern? And my go-to is to put a solid underneath. So this plate being completely white, and if you like for it to have a more, calmer look, you don't even have to put a plate on top of it. It looks great just with the white. So that way you have a couple of different choices. These came from Ballard Designs, and you can just order online. And again, it's just always separating out the patterns, even though they don't exactly match, the colors blend. And then I put something solid. So you'll notice everything else is solid. You have the solid napkin, the solid plate, and then all of the glassware is solid. So the flowers, again, are just added in. They're getting close to being blown out, as they say, which means that their blooms are getting to be really, really fragile. But I still use them even when they are not fresh from that day. I keep them as long as I can, and I love mixing the colors together in here. But with that cobalt blue, I think it just makes it look like fall. And bonus points if your college team is orange and blue, then you can also use it for tailgating. Okay, we're going to take the same tablecloth and use it in a way to make it like a ladies' luncheon or something really beautiful. So here we have the heron plates. These are the solid blue, and again we go back to that having something solid so that your eyes have a place to rest, and it just pulls in that blue from the tablecloth. And if you want it to be sort of elevated and not look as casual, you can take out these blue bottles and just use the pretty glass. I love the way that they look, but I would pull the orange flower into it. So I would put that dahlia, and if you wanted to add in the yellows, you could, but I love it with a little more color in it. And keep in mind that I'm doing this really close together because for the camera, so that you guys can see it, but you'll have it spread out a little more. So just keep that in mind. But there you go. So you can have the same setting, same glasses, same silver. And you'll notice that I mix the gold and the silver. I never worry about that. I don't mind it at all. I actually like it. So some people, if you don't love that, then just find a different glass for yourself or a cup, and you'll have it. But again, you just have the blue, and this looks just as pretty with that as it did looking like a picnic. And if you want to make it even fancier, you can always add some teacups. You could use these obviously for tea. You could use them for a soup because it's fall. You could serve soup in these first course. And you can also use them as a place to put your flowers. So I love putting like a rose in there or something that would fill up the space. You could even do a white hydrangea bloom because those, even though they're not a fall flower, they are still available. So here you have another version of the same idea, just take it up a notch, go from a picnic look to a little fancier. Okay, for our next blue and white table, we're gonna go a little fancier, and I'm really gonna focus on using a white tablecloth because I know that's typically what everyone has. So I wanna make it easy for you to be able to find something in your home that you can use and create something that you have with the plates that you have in your china cabinet or your cabinets in your kitchen. And so let's go over how easy it is to make something even with plain white. And as you add in different pieces to your collections, you'll have fun being creative with what you have. So let's take one of my very favorites. I'm mixing Heron, which is the Bluefish scale plate here on the very bottom. And it is from Gaines Jewelers. They're my go-to for all the Heron. So you'll see that this is the main plate, the dinner plate. The salad plate, I mixed in this rose medallion. So this is rose medallion, and it's an antique, vintage. You can find these at really nice antique stores typically. And then I added in this Heron Chinese bouquet, little saucer, and it's a bread plate actually. But then again, like if you're serving soup, I love doing, you know how when you go to an Asian restaurant, you'll have a small bowl of soup, and I kind of love that. Just an easy starter. Instead of a salad, sometimes you may want to do that. So I put that as a soup bowl, and it's just such a pretty way to mix the patterns. It all goes together, and it's definitely patterns on patterns, especially in here. But I think because of this white tablecloth and the white napkin, you're gonna see that it works well, and it makes a really pretty place setting. And over on this other side, I have the same exact idea, but you'll notice that the plates are just a little different, and that's what happens when you're collecting plates and they're vintage or they're antique. You may not have the exact matches. So don't be afraid to mix it up if it's not an exact size. You can tell that these are a little bit different. I think that's what makes it have a lot of character to it. And then over here I have this beautiful Heron it's like a compote stand, and I like to use it for tiny desserts. I would put, you could even put a small cake on there, maybe. There we go. You can put a small cake on that you can serve. I love adding those into the centerpieces on the tables. I think it looks really cute when they are part of the mix. So always think about adding in your desserts as well on your centerpieces for your tables, because it kind of adds in something that is unusual and it makes it have texture that you wouldn't have otherwise. And then for our flowers, I'm really loving this hydrangea. I would like to show you this, let me tip it a little. Can we see that stand, or this is called a cachepot. And it's a beautiful vase. I use it all the time, and it's just perfect. I got this several years ago. I don't think it's still being made, but when you're out looking for things, or when you're looking in your home, just look for things that are blue and white, that have your colors in them. You'll see it has the gold trim, which pulls in that gold trim. And then I really wanted to just add in the blue hydrangeas to keep it very blue and white. And then to pull in the color of this rose medallion, I added in the glass from Estelle Colored Glass, and it makes a beautiful contrast to all of the blue and white, and it makes everything kind of tie together. So you can always put in this these glass candlesticks, or I think brass looks really good with this place setting too. And for the fall, brass is always a great idea. So I would suggest that if you're not into the glass color. But when you put all this together, you're going to end up having a really great, beautiful table setting. All right, for our next blue and white, I want to show you how you can take a light blue and white fabric tablecloth. And I just went to the fabric store and bought this. And people ask me, how do you get them made into tablecloths? And all I do is drop them off at the dry cleaners, and they hem them for me, and then it becomes a tablecloth. So if you find a fabric that you really like, go ahead and grab it and see if your cleaners will do the same. If not, you can use a seamstress in your town, but it's just a hem that you put into a fabric and it becomes a tablecloth. So that is the first thing I did, and I actually used this tablecloth for one of the photo shoots I did with Entertain and Celebrate magazine, and it was we actually used it for Christmas. They wanted a blue and white Christmas theme, and so that's what I used this tablecloth for, and I have continued to use it for a bunch of different things, since blue and white is basically like a neutral. So here I have the tablecloth, which you can see has lots of pattern, and then I did the Chinese bouquet blue and white plates, and I just stacked them. And again, I do love to mix patterns, and so you'll see me do that a lot. And the main thing that I look for when I'm mixing is a place for a break in it with a solid. So you'll see the white breaks the blue, and I love how the blue on this plate is much darker than the blue on the tablecloth, and that helps it just blend and keeps it from being too much pattern on pattern. For some reason, that break in the two colors. And then I also pulled in the blue with the hydrangea. It matches the tablecloth. And then my favorite vase again, which is really called a cachepot, and it's a flower pot. That's the fancy word for it. And it is a great piece to have all around your house, but I also use it for my tablescapes all the time. For this one, because this is kind of a nicer setting, I pulled out the fancy crystal. This is Waterford crystal with a water glass and then the wine glass. So they go side by side. If you remember water and wine, I like to remember that by alphabetical, or turning water into wine is an easy way to remember it. I added a white napkin and did the gold flatware. I love how it plays off the gold on the trim of the plate. And then to keep it kind of in that fall feeling, remember to use, I always go with orange, these darker like autumn orange colors in the flowers, so whatever's available. Sometimes it might be a rose that you find. Sometimes it might be these little things that I don't know what they're called, but they look like a little cactus, but they're soft. But just anything that has the color, and then of course the dahlia has that really great orange. And that is what keeps it looking fall, even though this could be almost year-round table setting. So I hope that makes perfect sense on how to use blue and white, and I hope you have some great ideas for how to put your blue and white together on your tables. And we're going to move on next to doing another color, which I think is one of my favorite fall colors, and that's like the yellows and the golds. So let's go to that.